We are mere hours away from the Kansas City Chiefs kicking off the 2024 NFL season against the Baltimore Ravens. And guys, I have a list of things to watch. Yesterday, there was a preview and prediction video from this channel. Today, I have the what to watch list going into the game. More than just the matchups, I think that these are things that we can watch as Kansas City Chiefs fans to learn something about this squad moving forward this season and our chances at three-peating for Super Bowl champions. Now, the number one thing, in my opinion, to watch is this: win, lose, or draw. This is a matchup the Kansas City Chiefs and Baltimore Ravens will take with them through the rest of the season and into the playoffs. The Chiefs have to take notes. There is right now going semi-viral on YouTube. I know because it's come up in my play swiping list 3 or 4 times now. I believe it's Greg Maddux, a pitcher from the MLB in the 1990s, and it is a story that his pitcher at the time is telling, and what the pitcher says is, Greg told me, look, nothing inside and low during this game because they know how to hit those pitches. This team specializes in the long ball, etc. So I had their best batter up to bat. I don't know, I'm not a baseball guy, I follow loosely, but their best batter was up to bat. He had him down in the count, and Greg Maddux threw a fastball low and inside, despite the fact that he had told his pitcher, do not call any of those pitches during this game. The pitcher approached him after the play and said, what was that? He took him long. He hit a home run off of it. Greg Maddux purposely threw a low fastball, and the batter hit a home run, and his catcher goes up to him and says, what happened there? He said, look, don't worry about it. Playoffs come, and Greg Maddux gets the exact same pitch count, throws the fastball to the outside, swings at the fastball, but swung at a fastball to the inside because that's where it was last time. Greg Maddux goes up to his catcher and says, remember, he was going to be looking for that pitch. Because I gave him that home run last time, he was going to be looking for that pitch. Andy Reid plays those games. He's going to set things up in this game that will obviously be called back later in the playoffs should the Ravens play the Kansas City Chiefs. We don't know what those plays are going to be, but it is worth keeping an eye out for them. Number 2, is this a chippy game? Will Chris Jones Hulk out? Will he get penalties? And will we see Petty LeVon for the first time this season? This is building up to be not just a rivalry between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens, but one for the ages, and not just one for the ages, but one that harkens back to days of football yore. There is bullying. There is unnecessary roughness. There is smack being talked between the teams. There seems to be genuine hatred, maybe not for individuals. We haven't really heard any of that unless you're a kicker. But hatred for the other team, the other logo, the way we used to see in Kansas City with the Chiefs versus the Raiders and the Chiefs versus the Broncos before those franchises ultimately decided to retire. So, will we get that same type of blood feud developing between the Ravens and the Chiefs? I think so, and I think it's very likely that should either team in this game start to run away, tempers will flare, poor decisions will be made, and we might even see an ejection because there is a lot, not just a lot at stake in week 1, a lot at stake in week 1, which is basically a playoff atmosphere, but there's also a rivalry at stake. The third thing to watch is the rookies. And so I'm going to have an ongoing series here on the channel where each week we will have a rookie report where I will talk about what the rookies did during the previous week's game. It's going to be a little bit harder this year with all of the scheduling buffoonery that the NFL is putting this franchise through, but eventually I will get on to that. But here's the thing. Xavier Worthy, Kingsley Suamataia, and Jaden Hicks figure to factor into the Chiefs' plans from snap one this season. No matter which side of the ball takes the field first, whether the Chiefs are receiving the kickoff or kicking off, there is likely to be a rookie on the field for that side of the ball. But there is a second tier of prospective contributors to this rookie class as well. Surprise UDFA Carson Steele, who should hypothetically squeeze out a carry or two every game, find himself on the field blocking every game, and probably special teams duty. And tight end Jared Wiley, who I seem to be higher on than the coaching staff, but I think he should see snaps on offense and may be on special teams as well. Finally, the three remaining offensive linemen, Hunter Nourzad, CJ Hansen, and Ethan Driscoll, are unlikely to see offensive work, hopefully, or, well, I'll get to that in a second, but even getting special teams reps might put them ahead of their projected development curves. If we see Hunter Nourzad, CJ Hansen, and or Ethan Driscoll on the field in an offensive capacity, guys, it would mean probably that the Chiefs, it would mean A, an injury, so hopefully we don't see them, but B, and I find this unlikely, but it has to be thrown out there, if the Chiefs are just stomping them, they're going to take some of their starters out. If the Chiefs are just absolutely whooping on them, you're going to see some backups. The offense, it would be great to see backups on the field in a blowout scenario in week one, not just because of the Baltimore Ravens, but because it's a very long NFL season, and getting these guys some rest would be huge. Now, this class looks a lot to me like the 2021 class. The 2021 NFL draft class featured Nick Bolton, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith as starters, but also Noah Gray as a contributor. But if Wiley and Steele are real contributors and one of the other three offensive linemen even pan out, this could be a whole lot more like the 2022 class, a class that needs no introduction. The number 4 thing worth watching in this game is this. In the AFC Championship game, Patrick Mahomes was brilliant against the pass rush. The Ravens brought heat, he threw it where they weren't, and all of a sudden the Chiefs were moving the ball even better than they had during the rest of the playoffs, and especially better than they had during the regular season, making the AFC Championship game look like one of the easier games the Chiefs played last season. Now, the Ravens will have a new defensive coordinator. Will he overthink things and try too hard to disguise these rushes versus Mahomes, which could end up completely breaking and bankrupting the Ravens' defense? The Ravens have good players on the defensive side of the ball. You do not have to complicate things too much in order to get heat on an opposing quarterback. I think there is a threat that a new defensive coordinator looks at the last time these two teams played and sees that what happened was that Patrick Mahomes was able to exploit the pass rush. He may figure that he wants to keep pressure on Mahomes, but does not want it easily identifiable from whence those rushers may spring. In that event, he will try very hard to disguise the pass rushes. The obvious and legitimate threat in that situation is this: you run the risk of confusing your defense more than the offensive players. Andy Reid is likely to be making things very difficult for the defensive players on his own. let alone should their own coordinator be trying to defeat them. The next thing that I think is worth talking about here is obviously the wideouts. We've talked about this position all offseason long. The day has come. Even without Hollywood Brown, the receiving core is upgraded with Xavier Worthy and Juju Smith-Schuster playing in Kansas City where they were not playing last season. With Rashee Rice going through an entire Super Bowl run and victory, I think it is safe to say that he will be an improved player on last year's efforts, and Kadarius Toney is no longer a Kansas City Chief. Will it matter? Will Patrick Mahomes look like the Patrick Mahomes of old? Now, obviously, the Chiefs, who won the Super Bowl last season, had a shot in every game they played. Sometimes, however, it did not seem that way. This season, it is going to be exceedingly obvious, should those wide receivers pan out, that the Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes of old, will have a legitimate shot in every single game. This Chiefs wide receiver core is explosive. This Chiefs wide receiver core has some guys in Juju Smith-Schuster and Rashee Rice who can play a little bit of bully ball. And you can say what you want about Justin Watson. You can say what you want about Mecole Hardman. You can say what you want about Sky Moore. Those guys are at the bottom of the roster. They're bottom of the roster guys on a great team. I think we're going to see retro Mahomes. And the last thing worth watching here is this. The linebackers. The linebackers will not determine every game this season. This linebacker core is strong, but it is not that strong. But they might decide opening week. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry paired with Mark Andrews at tight end means there is a whole lot of football to be played in the box. Hit Stick Nick, the Lionheart, and the Tranquilizer need to have a big night for the Kansas City Chiefs. These things, in my opinion, are all worth watching tonight, all worth keeping tabs on as the game progresses. These things, in my opinion, may contribute to not only the win or loss versus the Ravens in Week 1, but how this team progresses as the year goes on, especially when we're talking about the wideouts and especially when we're talking about the rookies. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.